they want to have their own government, and they've had their own government for 50 years. It's massive corporate welfare. We're not doing that. They're going to live under the same laws as everybody else. They're going to pay their fair share of taxes, and they're not going to govern themselves. We the people are going to govern. And to put one corporation on a pedestal and let them be exempt from the laws is not good policy. It's not free market economics, and it's not something that our state's going to be involved in. And so we will not change from that. And so they can do whatever they want. I know people try to chirp and say this or that. The chance of us backing down from that is zero.
Thank you.
We'll see about that. We know the financial damage that it's doing to his state. We know that this feud is not seemingly helping endear him to the country. But what you saw there that was interesting wasn't just about Disney, ostensibly, in the way he presented it, even though it is. He said, we're gonna make sure that they pay the taxes. They have to pay the taxes. So you think it's a big important thing that corporations pay their, this isn't indicative of anything about his actual ideology. He's not coming in to make sure that these corporations around the country that have been getting away with financial murder finally pay their due. This is a personal vendetta against one corporation. The timeline is so damning for him. They wanted to run their own government for 50 years, and I decided to do something about it a couple weeks after they criticized me. Isn't that a little bit weird that he didn't get around to it earlier, that no other politician thought that it was a problem? By the way, before Brett, I want your commentary on that. But I also want to remind people, this whole vendetta that's been going on for like 2 years now, remind yourself, what is it because of? And you might think, it was about don't say gay bill, they were against it. And he was for it, obviously. Yeah, but more specifically, what did they do? What did Disney do to stop that bill? Was there months of sustained campaigning, constant comments from Bob Iger about how bad it was? I honestly don't even remember. I think they spoke out on it once. I think it was an exec at Disney who said one thing, and that has led to a multi-year feud that is hurting Disney, I'm sure, in some ways, but it's certainly hurting Ron DeSantis. It's hurting Florida. Brett, what do you think?
Okay. I think that the thing that is going against Ron DeSantis the most is that he's a weenie. And he wants so badly to be tough and have charisma, but he's such a little weenie. So he's like, when he talks, the key to doing, in my opinion, a Ron DeSantis impression is to act like a child whose tongue got stung by a bee. You're just kind of like, guys, we're gonna stop him right now. We're gonna stop him, I'm not gonna back down. Everything gonna be just, stop him from doing this, and we're not gonna take a second. He is just a little bratty little brother who keeps trying to pretend that he is as cool as everybody else in the room, and he's just not. And so that's what he's running into with Donald Trump, who basically is just putting his hand forward on DeSantis's head, and DeSantis is flailing like this. And that's the other thing. And what's really frustrating specifically with this, the tax implications of everything, is Ron DeSantis is not saying that all corporations need to pay their fair share in taxes. He's saying those words, but that's not what he means. What he wants to be in charge of which companies get preferential treatment. He wants to choose them not based on what's fair for the people of Florida and not what's fair in general if you're just a decent person, but he wants to pick it based on what benefits him personally and politically. And it's all based on these ridiculous made up vendettas like you were talking about that had nothing to do with actual policy, that didn't really do anything bad for him. And he's going up against Disney, which people love. People love Disney. And so it's just, I'm not against asking companies to pay their fair share in taxes. I'm definitely against people who pick and choose. And honestly, this whole idea of like free markets, that's not free market economics. You talk to any actual conservative, they'll say that no company should ever pay taxes. They think that taxes are robbery. So when the free market argument doesn't even hold.
Yeah. No, this is about him being the person who decides. He decides in place of the judges. He decides in place of the legislature what the electoral district's gonna be. He wants to be able to choose literally everything. That's all it is. And that sort of impulse, a leader who wants to be singularly in charge of everything, is not a deal breaker for the right. I just don't know that Ron DeSantis has like the minimal charisma to sell it.
Right, and
anyway,
it's he doesn't actually want to be in charge of that side. He doesn't want to be the one picking it. He doesn't want to. I don't think Ron DeSantis gives a crap about the final policy that ends up happening. It could be anything, and you can see that as he's piecemealing together weird talking points with his priority is political messaging. He doesn't want to do the job of the president. He just wants to be the president, and he's doing everything possible along the way based on like him reading tea leaves to put together arguments and messaging campaigns to get him there. Yeah. He just doesn't have that candidate talent to actually win.
Yeah. We're gonna move to some of the other responses yet, but like I think your general point, like he needs to have this fight kind of, and he needs to have this particular fight because he gets to pitch it as like a woke thing or whatever, but also because there's nothing that the right loves more than something that makes them able to pretend briefly that they're like against powerful interests. I'm fighting Disney, and now Ted Cruz is I'm fighting Bud Light, these big corporations. Yeah. What about raising their taxes? If you want to be a big threat to them, why don't you do something financial, something significant, something systemic, something long lasting, rather than for a couple of months or whatever, and then you go back to taking their donations, you go back to fighting to keep their taxes as low as possible. Like, and for all the conservatives that love this stuff, yeah, take down Anheuser-Busch, screw Disney. Yeah, what about screw all of them? What about back a politician who actually wants to curtail their nearly limitless power over politics, their ability to buy politicians? You say that you hate that stuff, then why not back a politician who hates it as much as you do and isn't just pretending like a weekend warrior for being a populist every once in a while?
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.